Hello, hello. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz. Welcome. I'm Zachary Hines, and I am with our lovely co-host, LeeAnn Day Douglas.
Oh, I'm a co-host. I thought I was a guest co-host. I'm a real co-host now?
I've just made you that.
Oh my gosh, it's official.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, you're my work wife now.
I know.
We've gone on a few dates.
A few dates. Yes, we've gone on 3 dates now.
Subsidized by the Straz Center.
I love it. I love that part. Yeah, that's really fun.
So we had a lovely evening last night. We went to the fabulous Italian bistro in downtown Tampa, Bavaro's.
Bavaro's, yeah, they're a restaurant partner for the Straz.
Yes.
So we're trying all the restaurant partners out.
Oh my goodness, that vodka sauce, I can just bathe in it.
You know, I've been to Bavaro's many, many times, and I've never gotten the pasta. They do, pizza and pasta. And so I decided to branch out and get the pasta. It doesn't sound like such a big branch, but for me,
risk.
It's very risky. It's very risky for me to get pasta.
Well, you're pretty particular about your food.
Yeah, I am. And I can't do onions. Not that I don't like onions. I love onions. I just, at my age, I can't do onions. So going somewhere to get pasta, there's always onions in the sauce.
Right.
So the poor waiter, I was interrogating him about the hidden onions that might have been in the 10 different sauces that they offer there at Bavaro's. And he was kind enough to investigate for me. And they made me a special pasta with pizza sauce, which it was the only sauce that didn't have onions in it.
How was that? I never asked.
It was okay. It was pizza sauce. So
Yeah.
It tasted like pasta and pizza sauce. So I should have had the pizza, basically. It wasn't terrible. I know that it's not a ringing endorsement, but I'm sure if I had been able to have their regular pasta, I would have been like, wow, this is really good. So
Right.
I had wished I had the reason I got the pasta was I didn't want to get too much food. And I thought a pizza because you didn't want pizza, so we weren't going to share a pizza, and I didn't want to eat a pizza all by myself because I don't want to just gorge myself that way. But I should have gotten pizza and just taken the rest home.
Yes. So listeners, just follow your heart. Go with your gut. Don't force pizza sauce on your
pasta. Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's not a good idea.
It's not. But they were very kind to custom make a dish for me.
Yeah, that was lovely. And he even recommended the homemade pasta that they have there. But man, that penne alla vodka, I cannot stray.
Yeah, and you ate every single bite of that. So
yeah, I went into like full on black. I don't even remember what happened, what we talked about. I just was.
You were
on.
just.
It could have been silence for 20 minutes.
You don't even remember. I don't know what we talked about. I was just eating. So
it's so good. I even got the 2 meatballs, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looked really good. But again, hidden onions. So
yeah, hidden onions.
Yeah,
Who knew?
I had to stay away from the vodka sauce. So
well, and so you tried the pasta, and then I had my first ever Nutella pizza.
Yes, I had the Nutella pizza many times, actually. It's one of my favorites, and it's a full-on pizza. It's pizza dough on the bottom, Nutella in the middle, pizza dough on the top, and powdered sugar. And it's cut like a pizza. So little slices of Nutella heaven is what that is.
It really was heaven.
Yeah, and we were stuffed, but I was like, you have to try the Nutella pizza before we go.
I could have had more, but I, have to watch my figure.
Oh, I could have.
As
yeah.
a single lady on the streets.
I could have eaten the entire thing by myself. I would have been miserable afterwards, but I could have.
Yes.
I could have. So I was very proud of us. We did our whole moderation thing last night. We each had 1 slice of Nutella pizza. We drank water. There was no alcohol.
We drank water.
We drank
no
water.
wine involved.
No wine at all. So yeah, it was good.
It was I love, these small little restaurants. I mean, how many tables are in there? Maybe like 10 small
10 or
ones?
12. Yeah.
Like you could not fit many people in there, but it's just great to have, there's lots of really big enterprises opening in Tampa, which is amazing. But, it's great to go to, smaller mom and pop places that have a little more personality. I like that.
Yeah, it's got a lot of personality. They've got is it a wood-fired oven?
I think so.
That they cook the pizza in,
Yeah.
which I love. I love a wood-fired oven for pizza. It's just really good. And their pizza is really, really good. Every time I've had it, it's been like, oh my gosh, this is the best pizza in the city. So
yeah, you can't go wrong. And we were talking when we were walking over there, we discovered there was like a country music little festival going on.
There was a country music festival at the Tampa Theater.
Yeah. Well, they were showing the Ken Burns documentary on country music, which sounds fascinating.
Yeah, right. Country music's not my thing. But yeah, they had live music out there when we were walking through, and so it was really
They were
neat.
like line dancing.
Yeah.
It was fun. If I ever was going to get into country music, it would have been right there and then.
Yeah.
And then a Ken Burns documentary would have destroyed the magic.
Depending on how you feel about it. Yeah.
I love Ken Burns, but I feel like, they're always like long and in depth.
Very long and in depth. I wasn't in the mood for Ken Burns last night.
Yes.
So
But we were in the mood for liked Steve Martin absurd comedy at Jobsite Theater.
Yes. So we went to see Meteor Shower by Steve Martin.
Yeah, and it's the opening show of their new season, the 2019-2020 season. It's a four-hander. It was only 75 minutes.
It was quick.
Yeah, so, I love a quick show.
Yeah, I like quick shows.
Which is weird because I love theater. So, you know, I don't mind if a show is long.
2.5 hours long.
Yeah, but I feel like nowadays you really have to earn it. If you don't have something to say for that 2 hours and 30 minutes, then I'm not going to forgive you.
Yeah, I'll do 2.5 hours for almost any Broadway musical, because if you're going to have a good tap dance number, you got to, let it breathe.
Everyone knows that to fit a good tap dance number in a show, you need a 2 hour and 30-minute runtime.
With an intermission. Yes.
With an intermission.
Yes, but for a play on a weeknight, when we need to come in and record in the morning, 75 minutes is really appreciated.
Yeah, Thursday night, I was home by 9:30. I was so thrilled.
Yeah.
And it flew by. I like when, I feel like it took up I actually do think this show could have went on a little longer to explain a little bit more. It kind of left me wanting a little bit more in terms of just figuring out what was going on.
Right.
So I think even if it was like 90 minutes, that would have been ideal.
It would have been okay.
But,
yeah. Just give me an extra 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah, just like it needed a few more scenes, I think, just to really drive that point home.
Right. So it was Steve Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So most people know Steve Martin from the movies. I do. I didn't know Steve Martin wrote plays until Jobsite started doing Steve Martin plays. So they've done the Underpants.
Mm-hmm. They've done Underpants, the Picasso one that he has. So this is their third Steve Martin show.
Yes.
So they're fans.
Yes, they are fans. With Steve Martin, you've got to expect the absurd.
He was more absurd than I expected him to be.
See, he was less absurd than I was expecting.
Oh.
So it could have been more absurd for me.
So I wonder, what is so my Steve Martin is really just like Father of the Bride.
Oh. See, I'm from a different generation than you. So my Steve Martin was, my first Steve Martin movie was All of Me. And it was Steve Martin with Lily Tomlin.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, and that was I was just a kid, and that was the funniest thing I had ever seen in my life.
That's where they switch bodies?
She's dying, and so she's got this Middle Eastern doctor who's going to transfer her soul from her dying body into this young, beautiful woman who's agreed to take her soul. And what happens is Steve Martin gets in the way of that process, and her soul goes in his body. So she can hear him talking to her the entire time, and all this absurd stuff is happening, and I loved it. I must have watched it 10 times when I was a kid. Of course, that was like right when cable came out, and that was when cable had no commercials. That was the whole thing about cable. Cable was great. People would pay for cable because there were no commercials. They're like, yeah, we'll pay for this. There's no commercials. So you could watch a movie on HBO that you liked over and over and over and over and over again. So I watched All of Me many, many times when I was a kid. I love that movie.
I love Lily Tomlin.
And that was my first exposure to Lily Tomlin, too. So I got 2 at the price of 1.
Have you seen The Incredible Shrinking Woman?
Yes, and I love that movie.
Classic.
Yeah. She's amazing. So she's have you seen Grace and Frankie?
Oh my God, have I seen that? Yes.
Yeah,
of
which
course.
is also amazing. They're just amazing, her and Jane Fonda. So yeah, we totally got off track. but I love Lily Tomlin.
Oh my God, yeah. Actually, she was one of the first things I ever saw at the Straz Center.
Oh.
My freshman year, she came here for Valentine's Day.
Nice.
And I went to see that. She
Very
was
nice.
fabulous. She did all her like laughing stuff.
Yeah, she's just a classic. So that was my introduction to Steve Martin. I mean, I also saw him in several other 80s movies that he was in, because he was in so many of them. But All of Me just got me introduced to the absurd. And, he does a lot of physical comedy when he's in a movie. For people of a younger generation than me, I think you could probably compare him to maybe a Matthew Perry from Friends, or who's the guy in Frasier that plays Niles?
Neil Patrick Harris?
No, that's a totally different guy.
No. He's another 3-namer, David Hyde Pierce.
David Hyde Pierce, there you go. Although Neil Patrick Harris would be interesting in that role. But
he would be very good.
So David Hyde Pierce is also the kind of like physical comedy, and so I kind of compare the 3 of those. If you watch any of those, you kind of know how Steve Martin is.
How did I get that wrong? I've been on a Frasier kick.
I don't know. It was the 3 names.
Yeah.
It was the first thing that popped in your mind. So you must have Neil Patrick Harris on the mind. So
yeah, Doogie Howser, I guess, is going to be my next once I'm done with Frasier.
That's funny. So I was expecting it to be much more absurd than it was. And don't get me wrong, it was absurd.
Yeah, it definitely had. It was not of this world, in the sense that it wasn't real.
No, it wasn't real. And it was a non-linear storytelling, which I'm not a big fan of. It was kind of like Constellations with the whole non-linear thing. Mm-hmm. I'm not a non-linear thinker. So for me, when they go back and redo things and replay things, I'm like, it doesn't work for me. So.
Right. I normally like that, but I feel like this needed a little more exposition, more something to better explain what was going on, because it was kind of hard for me to follow.
I had a hard time following it too. I got a little lost, although all of the people around us were laughing like crazy. So maybe it just wasn't for us.
maybe you had too much pasta.
Too much Bavaros. No, there's no such thing. But yeah, I mean, not every play is going to be for me.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. So
I enjoyed what would you say? How would you describe it?
How would I describe it? Well, there are 2, or seemingly 2, married couples. Mm-hmm. One is coming over to drinks and to watch the Meteor Shower with the other couple that's hosting it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it seems as if they are their whole goal in being there is to cause chaos in the marriage.
Right.
And so you kind of watch these absurd things unfold that cause chaos in the marriage, and it's almost like the play had to warm up a little bit, because I wasn't getting it at the beginning, and then it got a little funnier, and then it got a little funnier, and then it got like Monty Python absurd,
right? Which
I found hilarious. I literally laughed out loud at that point. I'm not going to give it away in case anybody is going to go out there and see it. I don't want to ruin it for you. No spoilers from me. But yeah, you kind of watch that, and then it goes back, and they replay it with the couple that's hosting, totally messing with the couple that came over and like turning it around on them.
Right, because they answer the phone this time.
Right. The first time they didn't answer the phone.
Right, they let it go to voicemail. And then this time, I didn't realize until I was reading about it afterwards that it's set in the 90s. And that made a lot more sense that they didn't have a cell phone.
I didn't even think about the cell phone.
Yeah, I was
Not
thinking
at
about
all.
that consistent throughout the whole show.
I didn't think about it at all, but I'm older than you.
Because you never see landline. I haven't seen a landline.
I have a landline.
You have a landline? Do people call it?
It's unplugged. I unplugged it because only telemarketers called it. Right. But I kept the landline because I have a security system and I needed a landline.
Oh, okay.
But I don't need it anymore. I just need to get rid of it. I just have been too lazy to get rid of it.
Well, now I want you to plug it in so I can call your landline.
I'll have to give you my landline. Yeah, I didn't even think about that in the play.
Yeah, I was thinking about that because first I was wondering why, because normally when it would go to voicemail, you would hear the voicemail on landlines. Do you remember that? Well, you have
if you have an answering machine.
Right. Well, weren't they always in one? You had two separate things?
I'm so much older than you are.
Well, when I had a landline, they were
one
same.
unit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I would record little jingles for my family. I like made little songs as our like greeting. It was a big responsibility.
Some people have voicemail that doesn't have an actual answering machine on the phone. It just goes to voicemail. That does exist.
Well, that exists now. Now it's like, you have reached 813 222 6.
Whatever. Don't give people your number. They're going to start calling you, Zach.
I don't have an 813 number.
Oh, okay.
I almost gave my office number, though. So do you think that, what do you think, because it was, I will say it got better. It was, definitely, it got better as it went on.
Yeah, it had
was
to warm
funnier,
up. Yeah,
as
it warmed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they needed, the first part, they really just needed to lay the groundwork. And then they kind of messed with it with one act. The couple was kind of messing with them, the visitors. And then the final act was them kind of figuring out the visitors' plan by answering the phone call and hearing from that other couple that they messed with what was going on. So then they had their fun and kind of messed with the saboteurs.
Mm-hmm.
Sabotage the saboteurs.
Yes.
What do you think about the performances? I thought the performances were very strong, particularly Janelle Meyer, who played Corky the Cannibal. Corky the Cannibal.
I know. And I really, really liked Jamie Jones, who played Gerald.
He was fabulous.
Over the top, which is what I expect for a Steve Martin play. So he was exactly what I expected. Mm-hmm. He was annoying, which he was supposed to be. He reminded me of some people I've had in my life before that I'm glad I don't anymore. But he was, I liked him. I liked him a lot.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me, so full disclosure, I've performed with him before.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Lovely. He was in Vampire Lesbians of Sodom with me. And he kind of reminds me of like a young Jim Carrey.
Yeah, he does.
That like...
And I'm not usually a Jim Carrey fan, but I really liked it.
Yeah, because he's a little more focused than, he doesn't throw everything in the kitchen sink, but he kind of has that rubber face of just his facial expressions. He can really just create these really funny physical comedy moments.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his performance. It's funny. I haven't seen a ton of job site shows. I've seen enough. So I wouldn't say, this one was my favorite, but I love job site.
Yeah.
And I love seeing their shows and I love, what they put on stage. And so I love that they kind of go out there and show theater that other companies aren't showing.
I always appreciate, even if I leave a job site show not really loving the particular production or play that they're presenting. I always appreciate the fact that they take risks with their programming.
Yep.
And present something new. I'm never bored by anything that they present. I feel like this was a really interesting, it had a lot of interesting things to say about marriage, about, even your inner, like even if, because I'm not married, and I think that was part of it, is I just don't really relate to that kind of
interplay between two people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've had long-term relationships, but I don't know, it seemed very like straight and narrow, kind of just the normal mainstream. And I did take some of it, like the inner saboteur that you're constantly battling with these inner demons, I guess, that are trying to kind of throw you off course or test you. And, sometimes you can succumb to it, and sometimes if you realize it, you can fight back.
Right.
Or, because sometimes they actually incorporated some good things for Corky. I mean, she got more in touch with her sensuality and maybe diverged a little bit from their normal granola life. But, do you think they were bad? Do you think...
As people?
The visitors, do you think they were purely bad? Like, what do you think they represented?
Well, at the end they tell you what they represented, but I don't want to say that because I want people to go see the show.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, but I took the whole thing very literally. So the whole show, I didn't know that they represented anything.
Right, not until the end.
Not until the end.
I felt like some twist coming, but...
I didn't. I was oblivious. I was so full of pasta. I was just not even expecting a twist.
It was like a meteor just coming down and striking you.
Yeah.
But Janelle just is... she was super fun. And, I will say, because Amy Schumer played that role in the Broadway production, so... In the beginning, it was kind of hard for me because I kept imagining, I wonder what Amy Schumer was, how she would have played this role. Because you can tell some of it felt like her humor. Like, I don't know if maybe Steve Martin wrote
it for her?
Wrote it with her in mind, or
right.
Some of the lines got written with her in mind when she was finally cast, or
right,
whatever. Or just, I just put I put her voice to those words. But I really think Janelle made it her own, and just as she's a really, normally I see her in pretty wacky characters like Jamie, because she's a really great physical comedian as well. And this was a little more of a reserved role, but I thought she did a great job. And I think those are the two kind of standout roles in that show too. They get more time to shine and more to work with. But I think now's a great time to take a break.
Let's take a break.
It's not too late to catch Jobsite Theater's production of Meteor Shower by Steve Martin. It's been extended due to popular demand and is playing through October 6th. So see it for yourself and let us know what you think by using hashtag Straz Podcast. And we're back. You are listening to This Is What You Missed at the Straz. I'm Zachary Hines. I'm with LeeAnn Day Douglas, and we're talking about Meteor Shower, Jobsite Theater's latest production. So we talked about the show a little bit. We talked about the actors. I really have to say I loved the production design. I thought that the set was really fabulous. They really, because you had to be indoors and outdoors. It was laid out really well. The music was super fun.
Really was.
It was, what era? Would that be like 60s?
Hard to say. I mean, like, the sound design was so good that it was unobtrusive. So it was enough that I can't put my finger on that, which is great because I don't want to be thinking about the music at a show.
Right. I was thinking about it, but in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed it and I thought, oh, that's really nice, but I didn't say, oh,
Yeah. I think what impressed me too is because I really loathe scene changes. Mm-hmm. And this had a few, but it was so fun.
There were quite a few. Yeah.
That it didn't even bother me. I didn't even really notice. And it was kind of, how they should be, where you're anticipating and excited for the next scene.
Yeah.
And then the starry sky was really beautiful.
The starry sky was good. And they had some, I'm not going to tell you what it was, but they had a really good special effect that made me just laugh so hard. And I wasn't expecting it at all. I was just like, I'm just going to tell people. So the husband gets hit by a meteor and he dies, but he doesn't really die. He comes back and he's got a hole right through the middle of him.
Yeah.
And he drinks a drink and it's hilarious.
And it has, there was smoke.
There's smoke coming out of the hole in his abdomen.
Very, Death Becomes Her.
Yeah, it was hilarious.
I just loved it. With the hole in Goldie Hawn. It was really impressive too. I mean, like a high quality. We should see if we could get that for you for Halloween.
Oh my gosh. If I could get that and then get the lights from the wall from Constellations.
Oh my God.
I would be all set.
Well, I get the lights from the walls and Constellations.
No, because you're getting the planetarium for your nightstand. So
I feel like that could.
I called it.
Fine.
But the special effects were good.
They were really. It was a really nice evening at the theater, and I think it's talking about risk. It's always refreshing to see something new and see something that kind of presents a new perspective, or even kind of just breaks up the ordinary. When you are taking a greater risk, I think you're gonna have a more polarized response. I mean, it seemed like everyone in that theater loved it.
Everybody loved it.
Yeah,
They loved it.
laughing their pants off.
Yeah, I felt a little like, wow, I don't get it. What do I do? What am I not getting? I felt like I felt a little stupid because I was like, all of these people around me are laughing and laughing and laughing, and I feel like I didn't get the joke. But I think there's just some humor that's for people. Like I loved the special effects and the Monty Python-ish, completely absurd stuff.
Yeah,
that made me laugh really, really hard. And there were a couple of times like that where I laughed really, really hard. But yeah.
Yeah, I think, comedy, there's, even when you look at like comedic movies, there are very, Bridesmaids is very different from kind of like a British comedy or,
right.
So everyone has their particular brand and if you relate to what the comedy's about, because comedy is so personal, you have to really be able to kind of understand where they're coming from. But I would recommend it. I would give it 3 eggplants.
Oh, there were 3 eggplants on stage.
Yeah.
So yes, it'll get 3. I don't know if we should give it 3 eggplants. People are going to take that to mean something else.
Well, it's funny because I was wondering, I always try to think of like different things to talk about when I'm watching, and I noticed the eggplants in the bowl, and I was like, why are there eggplants
What do you think those represented? Okay, I know we were wrapping it up, but what did those represent? Other than like the whole texting emoji, what everybody else thinks eggplants represent, what did they represent in the show?
I don't think they represented the kind of modern emoji meaning.
Right.
But in the show they said that it, the saboteurs gave it to them as a gift to kind of throw them off. But it was to be like, why did they? I mean, who would send you eggplants as a gift? Like if you just got 3 eggplants one morning, or like went to a dinner party and the guests were like, "Here, I have 3 eggplants for you." But then they talked about how they were nightshade and went into deadly nightshade, and how they were an omen of bad luck.
I didn't get any of that.
I'm glad they mentioned it though, because I was wondering why the eggplants were on stage.
Yeah, no, they were definitely they referred to them, so it made sense because the first thing when the lights went up, I was like, why are there eggplants on stage? So yeah, so we will rate it 3 eggplants out of 3.
Yes.
That'll work.
You get an eggplant, you get an eggplant, you get an eggplant.
Okay, everyone gets an eggplant.
All right, well, what another fabulous night. I'm really enjoying our date nights. Next time we are going to be seeing...
Next time we're talking about Vet Arts Band.
Vet Arts Band.
Yes.
And you will be away, so I have a very special guest co-host.
Yes, you'll be cheating on me.
But we have a lot coming up. We have the Vet Arts Band showcase.
You're not even going to say who it is?
I got to tease you.
Are you just going to tease it? You're not going to tell people?
Tune in to find out.
Okay.
It's a big get. Well, congratulations to Jobsite Theater, the cast, Jordan Foote, Amy Gray, Jamie Jones, Janelle M. Meyer, and the director, Paul Potenza, and Steve Martin, our dear friend, for a fabulous job well done. And I look forward to the next Jobsite show. I'm Zachary Hines, and this is what you missed at the Straz.